Here at Applied Nanodetectors, we developed the first point-of-care breath test that can both diagnose asthma and predict asthma exacerbations with 93% accuracy 3 days ahead. Our aim here is to gain a holistic view of a patient's asthma control by combining data from multiple parameters from the breath test, as well as patients' own reported symptoms that are assessed using the asthma control test, which is completed daily in our app. Our technology has many applications. It can be used by patients at home for self-management, where patients receive a score of 1, 2, or 3 using a traffic light system, which indicates the likelihood of an asthma exacerbation in each of the 3 days ahead. With asthma being a self-monitored illness, this technology would be transformative to early detection and early life-saving interventions for asthma exacerbations, as preventative treatments can be targeted to patients during this window of opportunity before they have the exacerbations. Patients may also use this as a tool to identify lifestyle triggers that impact their asthma control. Our device could also be used by health professionals for point-of-care diagnosis, for which we developed a different algorithm that gives a score of 1 or 2, and results either show that a diagnosis of asthma is likely or unlikely. Our technology may also be used in clinical trials. For example, it would aid with directing targeted therapy with novel biologics, or assessing response to inhaled steroids, as well as identifying the pathological drivers of inflammation to identify asthma phenotypes and endotypes. Our approach is that we collect end-tidal breath samples at a fixed flow rate. Our point-of-care device then measures biomarkers in the breath, as well as physical lung metrics such as temperature, humidity, and flow rate and volume to give instant results. The biomarkers we look at are volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, and the capnographic waveform, which represents the carbon dioxide levels throughout the breath cycle. The breath sample is collected during phase 3 of this carbon dioxide waveform. We also use data from the asthma control test for continuous monitoring of symptoms, as well as assessing the burden of symptoms on patients' life to aid with monitoring and self-management. The data is then inputted into our machine learning algorithm, where a 13-layer multi-class classification deep neural network was created, where the outputs correspond to the traffic light system and give a score of 1, 2, or 3, which represent well-controlled, poorly controlled, or uncontrolled asthma. To achieve a big data approach, the algorithm was trained using 1,290 data points using real patient data and synthetic data. The VOCs that we measure are organic compounds found in exhaled breath and are derived from metabolic pathways. They form a personalized signature breath print, which is useful for disease monitoring. Studies have shown that they can be used to differentiate asthmatic patients from controls and identify asthma phenotypes. Through our nanosensors, we're able to see the full carbon dioxide waveform, and studies have shown that there are multiple changes that occur to this waveform in asthma, with further changes occurring to the plateau and alpha angle when a patient is having an exacerbation. And this information has been proposed to be used in emergency departments to assess response to treatment. We utilize these indices to optimize our machine learning algorithms. Machine learning is a method used to identify patterns and relationships between data, which can be used to predict future outcomes. Amongst machine learning techniques, deep neural networks is what we use, and this is especially used in the medical field. A machine learning model has been trained with multiple parameters using patients' data and predefined ranges from reviewed studies. After patients conduct the self-management test for 5 days, our algorithms are further personalized to utilize patients' own data for optimum predictive accuracy. Here's a clip of how patients would use the device. First, the patient will turn on the device and insert a mouthpiece. They will then start the test and answer 5 questions adapted from the asthma control test. They will exhale into the device slowly and use the app to aid their breath control to maintain a fixed flow by keeping the marker between the 2 red margins. When the test is completed, patients can view their results on the mobile app to aid with at-home self-management. The testing procedure is the same for point-of-care asthma diagnosis, which can be led by a health professional using our diagnosis app. The results will either show that a diagnosis of asthma is likely or unlikely.